If you are a former athlete in your 30s and you feel like your body isn't responding the way that it used to when it comes to food, metabolism, whatever, it's because you are eating like you used to eat in college, or you're just not doing as much as you used to do when you were in college or when you were your most active. Before we dive into this week's episode, I want to address the very blonde elephant in the room. Guys, I got my hair done yesterday and I fucking hate it. I used to be super, super blonde. And along with all of my hormone struggles, my hair thinned, hormone and gut struggles, actually. My hair thinned. And I also had the revelation because I was bleaching it so much, it also thinned. And so I went to the dark side. I got extensions and I just felt so much better about myself. And I got extensions back in 2023 and lately I have been feeling like a little bit of a change up, so I wanted to brighten it back up again. And it's giving skunk. I actually called to get it fixed because I hate it that much. So if you watch this on Sunday, hopefully by then it will be fixed. If not, just know that I am dying inside. Anyways, before we dive into the very specific nutrition strategies that you should be implementing in your 30s or as a former athlete trying to get your hottest, happiest, healthiest body in 2026 and beyond, we first need to change your mindset. And let me just tell you this, turning 30 doesn't mean dick about your metabolism. It has nothing to do with it. I will be 35 in a few months, which is super weird to say. And I'm building muscle. And when I'm in a fat loss phase, it's working. And I'm going to be in the best shape of my life this year. I don't want to age myself, but I will be 35. So when I get on the phone with women who are saying, oh, I'm getting older, I'm turning 30, I am like, what? Why are we thinking that 30 is old? Honey, you are not old, you just feel old. And I say that lovingly. If you are 30 years old or 20s, late 20s, and you feel old, you are not old, you just feel old. And the reason you feel old is because your habits suck. But that's why you're here. If you didn't care and you didn't want to get better, you wouldn't be listening to this. So without further ado, I want to go into specific nutrition strategies. But first, I really wanted to say that your metabolism does not magically change when you're 30. It doesn't start slowing down until you're like 60. Okay, so girls, stop it right now. Smack you. You can be hotter in your 30s and in your 20s. I'm living proof of it. My athletes are living proof of it. Also, because when you turn 30, a really cool shift happens in your energy and just in your bandwidth, and you just like don't give a fuck about what other people think anymore as much. And it's freeing in itself. So that's nice. That's part of the glow up. Let's dive into actual strategies that you need to implement right now to have better nutrition, because this is the number one thing that I hear from former athletes. So I'm going to teach you what you did not learn in college and what nobody is telling you right now, because everything that you see on TikTok, on Instagram is all to get views and clickbait. And you're like, what do I actually listen to? You're going to listen to me right now. Okay. First things first, we're going to talk about the law of thermodynamics. When you were an athlete, you did not have to track your macros. Maybe if you were in a sport where it relied heavily on your weight class, you potentially did. If you were on some sort of, weight loss journey, you did not have to track your nutrition in college. You can eat whatever the fuck you wanted because you were practicing twice a day, you had games, you were expending a ton of calories. And right now you are not expending nowhere near that. I promise you. That leads into our first nutrition strategy. It's just the law of thermodynamics. So thermodynamics essentially is you burn calories, you're burning fuel by your exercise, your non-exercise activity, the amount of muscle mass that you have, the thermic effect of food. That is actually your metabolism. So many things affect that, which we can get into later, but you have a total daily energy expenditure, which is a calorie number that you are expending on a day-to-day basis. That number was likely way more when you were an athlete and when you were competing or when you were at your most active. So you are expending a ton of calories. You're probably not right now. Okay, so just first remember that. Then on the other part of that equation, so the other half of that equation is our inputs, what we are inputting, the energy, the calories that we are inputting, i.e., your food. What you eat, which has calories, adds up. And what our body wants to do, our body wants to live in a state of homeostasis where we are bringing in enough calories that we are burning and we are Gucci, we are chilling, and we are just living life happy as can be. Whether you are happy or not, your body is saying, hey, I'm going to hold on to this homeostasis. I'm not going to lose weight and I'm going to stay right here because this is what I need. Where most of us lie, especially if we're having issues, blaming it on our metabolism, well, it's because we're just eating too damn much, truthfully. When you get older, I'll use your words, you have friends and you have a family and you realize that this whole damn world revolves around food. Culture revolves around food. Religion can revolve around food. Holidays, the way that we interact with each other, everything revolves around food. So we are eating more. We're eating really high palatable foods that are super yummy and super, super high in calories. We're eating a lot more than we are expending. Honey, taking your dog on a walk for 30 minutes every day is not exercise. And you know that. So why are we still eating like we are going to practice every single day? That's why we are in the position that we're in. I know that seems overwhelming. I know that seems, well, how do I figure out how many calories I'm consuming? That is when I say, hey, well, we need to track because what gets measured gets managed. Again, y'all didn't have to track macros in college. Understandably, you didn't have to because you can just eat whatever you wanted to. But if we're slowly gaining weight because we are eating more and we're moving less, that's the most efficient toggle to adjust is how much we are intaking. That's the number one thing that we can control. It's hard to control it, but it's the number one thing that we can control. So with that, we need to be tracking how many calories we are eating. But I go further than just tracking calories. Let's say that you need to eat 2,000 calories in order to eat less than you are moving. So 2,000 calories of just like whatever you want. Pizza, wings, beer. So if I say 2,000 calories there, I'm good, right? Sure, if you just want to see that scale go down, don't really care about your performance, don't really care about your body composition, like so the muscles and looking athletic, if you just want to lose weight, that could work. But you're not here because you just want to lose weight. You're here because you want to look like an athlete and you want to look fucking banging and you want to look like you have muscle. You want to look like you lift and you want to look like an athlete again. So we go above tracking just calories. So we're going to be tracking the amount of protein, the amount of carbohydrates, and the amount of fats that we eat. I know that could sound like, oh my gosh, I'm tracking 3 things now. I'm going from tracking 1 thing to 3 things. You could progress to that if that sounds like a lot for you. But I'm telling you, tracking macros is the most efficient way to understand what we're intaking and then to lose body fat, build muscle, body recomp, which is, I can make a whole other video on actual what body recomp is. So when we're tracking our protein, we're making sure that we're eating enough. So many people say, oh yeah, I try to eat more protein or I'm focusing on protein, and they still fall way, way below what actually is considered high protein. So high protein, I would consider 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. There's other equations out there that are really specific, and they even talk about kilograms. But in anecdotal practice and how I've been coaching my athletes for the last 7 years, that number tends to make sense. Now, that number can shift up as, I do have 55, 60-year-old women. That's definitely where we need to increase our protein. There are times when we are in a season of a calorie deficit where I like to have the protein up a little bit more. Protein, fun fact, is the only macronutrient out of carbs, fats, and protein that actually burn calories as you eat and digest it. So it makes sense to have higher protein. Carbohydrates, you should not fear them. You should welcome them. Carbohydrates are needed to build muscle. So carbohydrates are extremely important hormonally. So are healthy fats. I'd argue healthy fats are more important for you hormonally. But if you're training and you're lifting and you're running and you're fueling for performance, we need carbohydrates for energy to be able to move our weight and to be able to perform at our best. Because if we perform well, if we have better workouts, we're going to look better. And in order to have better workouts, we need to fuel properly for them. I'm going to get into a whole video of showing you actually how to track your macros and break it down for you, which I think will be super valuable. But first, I want you just to have that in your mind, as this is the number one. If we had a pyramid, okay, and we have this pyramid, and the bottom of our pyramid is thermodynamics, the law of thermodynamics. You will lose weight if you are eating less than you are expending. Now, a lot of different things can impact that for sure. And it might seem, well, I'm in a calorie deficit, I'm not losing weight. That is a whole deeper wormhole that we can explore again in that next video. But that is our anchor, the law of thermodynamics. So what you can do right now is just start tracking your intake and just start becoming aware. Awareness is the first step to change. We cannot change anything if we do not become aware of it. I have coached a lot of athletes over the last 7-8 years, and the most successful athletes are the ones who are very self-aware, which makes them very coachable. The ones who are not self-aware, who potentially play the victim, or they're just not self-aware of what their actual bad habits are, they don't go on to succeed. You cannot succeed if you're not aware. Awareness precedes change with anything in life. You cannot save money if you are not aware of what your current financial status is. I could go on with that analogy. So track your food, have awareness. Okay. The second layer of our pyramid is food quality. Now you're tracking. Now you're aware. You've got your macros. You're like, okay, cool. I understand thermodynamics. If I want to lose body fat, I need to get my ass moving more, eat a little bit less, or maybe I just need to focus on more movement and keep my macros and my calories at least consistent day to day. And I'll see change, which is body recomp, which again, a whole other video. Next is food quality. Food quality is something that I feel like is a very lost art these days, because we were so, I would say back in the 2000s, so like 2005 to like 2015 or 2017, that era was all about the meal plan, the stock meal plan, 6 meals a day, broccoli, chicken, rice, 6 meals a day. Like, we were very much on that side of things. And then we found if it fits your macros, well, now they're finding as long as you stay underneath your calories and you're hitting your macros, you can eat whatever you want and you can lose weight. And a lot of us were like, fuck yeah, let's do it. And then we ended up eating a lot of processed shit and having gut issues and hormonal issues. And we wonder why. I personally think, and putting on my tinfoil hat there, it is the food quality of all of that shit we were eating, because, oh, I can eat Pop-Tarts before I train and I can still lose weight. And for some people, that worked. For other people, it fucking wrecked them. So that's, I think, why we have a lot of gut issues and a lot of hormonal issues, especially in my millennials, because we kind of grew up in that if it fits your macros era. And we're like, fuck yeah, like improving our relationship with food, which it did do that for a lot of people, myself included. There's a pendulum swing. It was swung so far to this side that we were just, I remember I would figure out how many Oreos I could fit in my macros every single day, how I would fit Taco Bell in my macros every single day. There's nothing wrong with those foods every once in a while, so I do want to make that clear. But bro, every day, no wonder I look like I had been stung by a bee and I was just gaining so much inflammation and weight, because later I'd find out that I was extremely reactive to gluten. Food quality matters. Now, we can get really into the weeds of like what foods are the best to lose fat. Let me make it very clear. There are no foods that are fat burning foods. That is a fucking myth. Okay. That is clickbait. That is people trying to get views and likes and engagement and potentially even selling you something, fear mongering. There are no fat loss foods. Actually, I will take that back. Cinnamon actually really helps with glucose control. So hello, cinnamon. So just, sprinkle a little bit on your coffee every single morning. And it's actually shown to be very beneficial. I digress. There's no fat burning foods. Okay. First pillar, law of thermodynamics. If you want to burn fat, you want to lose fat, move your ass, eat a little bit less. All right. But food quality is really important. As I have had my own gut issues, as I've had my own hormonal issues, and this is crazy, as I have helped other athletes through their gut health journey, this has become even more apparent. Now, when we look at food quality, first things first in food quality for me is fiber. If you are getting in 25 to 35 grams of fiber per day from good sources, not like high fiber wraps. I mean, that can be nice in a pinch, not from a lot of soluble corn fiber bullshit, but like from fruits, from vegetables, from lentils and chickpeas and oats and nut butters. If you're getting in 25 to 35 grams of fiber, you're going to be doing okay. You're going to be doing pretty good because it's going to be really hard to fit a lot of other bullshit into your day if you are hitting that fiber count. The fiber recommendation is 15 grams per 1,000 calories, but I typically like to say I don't like to see anything less than 25 grams of fiber unless I have a bikini competitor who's super low calories because that's just what she needs to do. Having too much fiber with those lower calories you can have some bloating issues. That's really the only time that I bring it down really low. So let's say you have about 1,800 calories to eat and you've got 135 grams of protein that you're hitting, 170 grams of carbs and 65 grams of fat. And within that 170 grams of carbs, you are getting in 30 grams of fiber. I will tell you it's going to be real, and you're getting in enough protein. It's going to be really hard to fit in like bullshit within there. It just is. And I know because those are my macros on a rest day. And, if my fats were higher, which a lot of processed food has a ton of fat, that's why it tastes so damn good. And there are 9 calories per 1 gram of fat. So if something has 10 grams of fat in it, you're automatically getting 90 calories from that, not to mention the protein and the carb count that's in there. And if my fats were higher, I could have more wiggle room potentially with other fun foods. But because my fats are controlled, they're still high. They're at a good level. My fats are controlled. My protein is high. And my carbs are moderate and my fiber count is where it should be. I'm going to have a really hard time stuffing shit in there that shouldn't be in there. We're adults. Vegetables, fruits, healthy fats, carbohydrates, and honestly, the whole white rice versus brown rice debate, that's not important. You'll hear, oh, you shouldn't have white rice. It spikes your blood sugar. Well, eating spikes your blood sugar. As long as you're eating fiber, if you have 35 grams of fiber a day and you have a controlled carb amount and you control the amount of processed carbs and sugar that you're intaking, you're going to be okay. Especially if you're training. If you're resistance training, and you have muscle. So muscle is a sponge for glucose. So the more muscle that you have, really the more carbs you can tolerate. The reason why a lot of women are afraid of carbs is because you don't have any muscle, babe. You need more muscle. More muscle, less problems. The more muscle you have, the more calories you can eat because your metabolism is high when you have more muscle. That's a big part of metabolism is your basal metabolic rate, which are the calories that you burn at rest. And when you naturally have more muscle, you burn more calories at rest. I digress. It's a very important point, though, to write home. Honestly, for food quality for me, if you have 2 servings of vegetables a day, and I would say greens, like cruciferous vegetables are really great for liver detoxification. We could all use that. That's all a good idea. Helps with skin, too. So usually a lot of breakouts come from clogged up livers. That is a very non-scientific thing to say, is a clogged up liver, but it's true. If your liver is having trouble detoxifying because we're not feeding it the proper foods that it needs, maybe we're having poor gut health, environmental toxins, etc., we're going to have shitty skin. So liver detoxification is huge. So we want to have those cruciferous vegetables, 2 servings of fruit a day, 2 servings of vegetables a day, high quality protein from high quality meats. So everybody's like, how do I get that much protein, babe? You got to eat some meat. You have to eat meat. Chicken, turkey, red meat, fish, like the good protein sources, eggs. If you're getting the majority of your protein from bread, that's an issue. That's an issue. We don't want to be getting the majority of our protein from vegetarian sources. Now, if you are a vegetarian or a vegan, that's a little bit different. Your built's a little bit different, especially if that's what you've been doing for a long time. One of my best friends, she's super ripped, has a ton of muscle, very strong. She's vegan. She has no issues. Her habits are really great. I digress. There's exceptions to every rule, but we're not here for exceptions. We're here for like what the fuck you need to do. Okay. And then healthy fats such as avocados, nuts, seeds, olive oil, whole eggs, healthy fats from salmon, things like that. All adult foods. You can totally air fry chicken nuggets every once in a while. You can have the fun foods, but the food quality you'll find makes or breaks just the way that you feel. If you want to feel better, if you want to look better and you want to glow up and you want better skin, you want better hair, you want better nails, you want more energy, you don't want to be shitting your pants, high food quality. Okay? The last piece of the pyramid is fueling around your workouts. All right? So let's talk about it. Is it the most important thing that we need to focus on? No, it's at the top of the pyramid for the reason. So when you have your macros dialed in and your caloric intake dialed in, and then you have your food quality dialed in, let's fuck around with nutrient timing. So when we are doing nutrient timing, the reason for that is to utilize carbs for your lift. So when we intake carbs, our muscles store water, glycogen, and that is used to be able to exert force and power, and that gives your muscles that pumped look, that look of that bitch goes to the gym. We love that. When you have your training session, we want to think about pre and post first. We can talk about intro too. Is it as important for everybody? No. If we're pre-workout, having a good meal 90 minutes prior of a good amount of carbohydrates, small amount of fat, and a moderate size of protein, that's like the most efficient thing to do. Now, as we get closer to our workout window, so let's say we have 60 minutes before our workout window, we bring that fat down just a little bit, bring those carbs up a little higher, bring the protein down a little bit. And the reason for this is that we just don't want to go into our workout like feeling like heavy and sloshed and run down. Let's say you're 30 minutes pre-workout, we're going to have a quick carb snack and we're going to get in there. We're going to train hard. So as we get closer to the window, I like to bring that fat down a little bit and that fiber down a little bit. So that way we can get some quick carbs into the muscle quick. That way it can be utilized for training. Post-workout, I grew up, I was raised in the era of you have to drink a protein shake right after your workout or you suck. Your gains are demolished. The anabolic window, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. They've debunked that. I like to recommend athletes do a protein shake post-workout because what if you get caught in traffic on your way home from the gym and you just need it? It's also a great way to get your protein in general if you do struggle with that. So, downing 25, 30 G's of protein in 30 seconds is going to help get you to your goal. You don't have to drink a protein shake. I've given that advice to my athletes before who struggle with that. You can wait about an hour, have a nice, good dinner. Like have protein, carbs, healthy fat. 60% of your daily carbs, we want to look at around our workout, so pre, post, or intra. Honestly, though, I do think that we're putting the cart before the horse here. We don't really need to be thinking about that too much. We just need to say, okay, we need a solid training meal and a solid post-training meal. And then it's a matter of just what works best for you. Now, intro workout depends on the type of training that you're doing. If you are going super hard and you're going like over an hour, then it makes sense to add in some intro workout carbs. Or if you're in a calorie deficit and you're in a diet for a long time and you're struggling with workout performance, intro workout carbs could be great. And when I say intro workout carbs, my favorite intro workout carbs is just coconut water. I used to do the intro workout powders and stuff like that. Coconut water is so good for so many health benefits and hydration benefits. I just like to have one of those. I struggle getting in a lot of my carbs because it's just harder for me. I'm gluten-free. So my carb sources are whole carbs, and it's just a lot of food volume for me. I'm not as much of a food volume girly. A lot of women are. So, getting in 15 grams of carbs intra workout, it's really easy, and I'm not having to play catch up at the end of the night. If what I'm saying to you, like catch up or not catch up, but like catching up, and 60% of your carbohydrates for the day needs to go around training, it's a lot. You might be listening to this like, I don't even know how to track calories. And she's talking about nutrient timing. There's a reason why it's at the top of the pyramid. There's a reason, okay? We don't want to put the cart before the horse. Again, there's an order of importance for a reason. So my advice to you with all three different phases of the pyramid, just start getting aware of your food intake, because we cannot change if we're not aware. Start to learn to track. I'll make a whole nother video for you so you'll feel good with that, but start to at least think about that. Understand that the reason why, like if you continue to gain weight, it's because you are not moving enough compared to how much you're eating. And that's just that. Other hormonal and gut issues can definitely come into play. Most of the time, it is the law of thermodynamics. And gut and hormonal issues can shift your own thermodynamics as well. So there is that. Now, the second part of the pyramid is food quality. That is something that you can start right now. Maybe that for you is step one. Maybe for you, that's step one. Okay. If we just want to like have good energy and feel better, maybe you have been tracking your macros and you're like, I don't know why I still struggle with gut and skin issues. Really dive into your food quality. Dairy, do we need to eliminate dairy and gluten? If it bothers you, sure. If not, don't worry about it. I mean, things like skin issues can be a food quality issue, i.e. a gut issue. So you could play around with removing dairy just to see where we're at skin-wise. For me personally, I know that if I have dairy, like I can tell, I actually break out like around my neck, which is crazy. But the reason why I'm able to understand what is happening in my body is because I do track everything. I am very aware. So I can tie things back from how I felt to what I've eaten or what I've done. So many of you are living in this perpetual state of, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with me. Well, we're not tracking anything, so we can't tie gut issues back to certain foods. We can't tie energy back to saying, oh, yeah, no, I'm eating consistently throughout the day. I'm not skipping breakfast. I'm not living off caffeine. We just aren't aware. You're just going through your day like hoping things are going to be different this time, but hope's not a strategy. Having actual measurable data so that way we can make decisions based off the data is a good strategy. Okay. And I say all of this with love and respect because I care about you and I love you. And I want you to stop thinking that you're fucking broken. You're not. Your habits are and your systems are. And that's a very easy fix once we figure out what the actual issue is. And that's what we do with a lot of our athletes is we break it down and we say, okay, where are we eating? When are we eating? How are we moving? Tying back biofeedback, so stress, sleep, hunger, recovery, energy, digestion, stress, back to what our week to week looks like. And it takes that level of being in tune with yourself and your body to make sustainable and actual change this time. And that's the hard truth. But I'm here to tell you the truth and nothing but the truth. So those are the three most important things when it comes to fueling, when it comes to nutrition, how you should be thinking about your nutrition as you are approaching 30 or as you're 30 or as you are wanting to make a change in your physique and your performance for real this time. Love you so much. Glad you're here and we'll look forward to the next one.